I welcome you all to my ancestral home of the Dundlod Fort. I'm very happy today that I am able to welcome you all to my family home. The Fort of Dundlod is historically built in 1750, but in short, I would like to tell you about our ancestors and how we managed to come to this part of Rajasthan in India and take over this land from the Mughal rulers and establish the Rajput rule in this area. The family of Dundlod actually comes from the family of Jaipur. The third generation, the ruler Maharaja Udaykaran of Amer was in 1366 was the ruler of Amer, and from there the third generation of his, always being the younger brother, decided to form their own territory for rule. So they came northwest towards this area which was under Mughal rulers and started taking over this area. By Rao Shekha, who was the 8th generation of the Udaykaran family, it was in 1433 that he started conquering these areas, and his later on generation from him, the 8th generation from him, was Rao Shekha onwards came Sadul Singh, who started taking over these territories in 1689. From thereafter, it became the ruling families of Shekhawati, which is the word comes from the word family of Shekhawats. Then from Rao Shekha, the 5th son, Kesri Singh, was the man whose photograph you see there as the second photograph. Rao Shekha number 1, the second is Sadul Singh, number 3 is Kesri Singh, who built this fort in 1750. Now, from there onwards, till 11th August 1954, my grandfather, Rao Harnath Singh, ruled this area, and my father, Colonel Raghbir Singh, in those days was in the Jaipur State Forces, and thereafter Second World War and India's independence in 1947, he became an officer in the 61st Cavalry, the only horse cavalry in the world today. He became an officer with the Indian Army. If you see, the fort, as I said, has been built in 1750. This main hall which you see is the Diwan Khana, which means the hall of audience. We still use it as a place to receive our guests. Any dignitaries visiting Dundlod are welcomed here. All the festivities of the village, which start from the fort, have significant importance of this hall. What you see here are the two idols of the goddess Gangor and Isar, who are the incarnation of Shiv and Parvati. Every year we have this festival of Gangor where these idols are taken out from to the main Ravla, the courtyard, and thereafter the whole village starts a procession. If you see the photograph on top, that is the late Maharaja, very famously known as Jai. His name was Man Singh, and he was the ruler of Jaipur. Our family connects to the Jaipur family. It was from 13th century right up to the 16th century, the Shekhawats ruled this area independently. It was in the 17th century that the families all got together, and we thereafter recognized the eldest Jaipur Maharaja as the senior most among our clan, which still to this day stands. The fort is very well known for its heritage the way it has been constructed, you will see arches. It's got a lot of Rajput and Mughal architecture mixed with it. Although the furniture has this much later addition, which is the Louis XIV furniture copied from France. That is when my grandfather upgraded this place with this kind of furniture. Before that, in India, we didn't use so many chairs or tables. The idea was to have mattresses and cushions on the ground, and all important ceremonies and everything took place that way. I will now take you from here to the gallery on top, which you see is for the ladies. Till 19th century, there was a system of a veil, and the ladies all kept veil, and therefore, if there was an important ceremony here, the ladies would come from their apartments and all be in that gallery on top to see the ceremonies going on here. So I'll now take you to the area on top known as Duchatta, means the second story. As you can see, everywhere in this fort, we have all the old photographs of the family, the old marriage processions. All of them are still on the walls, which give you an idea of how the fort was in those days. This is known as the Duchatta, the second story. Again, all the photographs. An important thing here to tell you about the architecture part of it, you will see that most of the old constructions in our area, because we used to be in the desert part, which is very, very hot, as well as very sandy with sandstorms, the windows are always, the doors and the windows are always very small. And this is sort of a circular construction, which we in our areas call it dhola, which means a bit circular shape. And this shape kept it cool. That is how it came up to be known as dhola construction. Part, of course, again, as I said, the furniture here is a later addition. Previously, they were all mattresses and cushions, and the ladies would be sitting in the galleries here, watching the ceremonies which go down, which happen in the Diwan Khana. I will now take you to a small room, which we have kept as a memorial to my grandfather. This is a room dedicated to my grandfather, but it is in the memory of our Guru here, whose photograph you will see. He has an ashram. He used to have an ashram, which is about 30-40 kilometers away from Dundlod, very much still in existence, and that is why we call it the room dedicated to my grandfather and to his Guru. What you see here are all the old seals which have been kept here, which the royal orders which used to go on horseback were put in scrolls, and the seals were put on top of it to be opened only by the person to whom that order was being sent. What you see here is the titles given by the Maharaja of Jaipur to my grandfather, and all the important seals which you see here. The silver seal was used by my grandfather only, and the rest were all there for all the documents, the land, buildings, anything given in those state times were all marked by those seals. Those seals and those documents are still important. In India, if there is a dispute in a family over land, property, buildings, we still refer it back to the old estates, and those documents which have these have more importance and legal validity in the law of court still today. Now this is my personal story. I had a great passion for horses because my father was with the State Forces Cavalry, thereafter in the Indian Army, and I learnt my riding at a very, very young age, I think at about 5-6 years old, and lived with horses. It was not later, it was much later than in the year 95 that I met my partner Francesca, who has been instrumental in getting me involved with the breeding program of these Marwadi horses. All the stables that we have here, the breeding program is looked after by her. We started together the Indigenous Horse Society of India, with our first president being the Maharaja Gat Singh Ji of Jodhpur, and thereafter, of course, every 4 years, 5 years, we have different presidents. I've been the secretary of the organization, and what you see here are the national medals our teams have won, and the state medals our team has won in horse shows, and at district levels or at different rural villages, these are the medals won by our boys and our teams in horse shows. Apart from horses, my interest has been a lot in the game of cycle polo. Now, cycle polo is again a heritage sport. It started during the British time in India, but although the origin starts from Ireland. We then started playing, people started playing, all the Maharajas started playing bicycle polo because it was a part of practice when the horses were resting during the summer periods in India. And now this game has become very popular. It's recognized by the Ministry of Sports. And I am presently the president of the Cycle Polo Federation of India, responsible to conduct national championships, Cycle Polo League, and select teams from India to go for the World Championships. We have won the World Championships. Out of the 8 championships India has played abroad, we have got 5 gold medals and 3 bronze medals, and these are the trophies of the World Championship and the Cycle Polo League which India has won. This is our family dining hall, dining room, and all important dignitaries, important visitors are all given their receptions, and their dinners and parties are all in this particular hall. Recently, the governors and the President of India or any other visiting dignitary is given a meal in this particular room. This is Maharaja of Bikaner. We have very close relations with the family of Bikaner because one of the ladies of the Dunlod family in 1806 was married to Maharaja Ratan Singh Ji of Bikaner. Her name was Raj Kanwar and she was married there. So we have very close relationship with the family of Bikaner. You will notice that every room here, even with rooms where guests who are now visiting the fort, who are staying with us and who are doing riding safaris with us, even their rooms have all photographs connected with the family and marked as to people would know who they are and what period they are from. Here is a very interesting photograph of Maharaja of Eder. He was the regent Maharaja of Jodhpur, and given the title of Sir by the British. He was Sir Pratap, was famously known by that name, and his daughter was the mother of my grandmother. So our connection to the Maharaja of Jodhpur and their family stands very close also. I'll now take you down to the gate from where the ladies would enter the fort and have their different quarters. In those days, in the olden times, we didn't have the quarters all in the same area. There was always a janana, a ladies section and a men's section in these forts. So I'll now take you to that side. I'm now taking you to the janana section of the fort. Now this portion of the fort was all the janana side, and as I told you, the windows were very small. If you see the windows on top, they're very, very small, so that the dust would not get into the rooms, and the wind pressure would be a lot more to keep the rooms cooler. And of course, the constructions inside are also the same as the Dhola which I had mentioned to you. If you see, this is known as the Dyodi. Dyodi means the entrance of the ladies' side. The Dyodi is the entrance of the Ravla. Ravla is inside, which I will explain to you. Always it is important in every home in India of the Hindu families, you will find Lord Ganesh on top. Lord Ganesh is the most auspicious god. Even today, any ceremony, any important function, any religious ceremony starts, it has to start with prayers to Lord Ganesh. And therefore you will find his image on every entrance of every home in India. The silver pieces which you see, silver painted pieces which you see on the gate here, is the tradition of marriage. This signifies how many marriages have taken place from this fort and from the courtyard inside, which was made for the religious ceremonies. This depicts all the marriages, and the bridegroom, when he comes up to the gate of the fort on elephants, and then they have to be on a mare. And the mare has to come right up till here for him to touch this sign with his sword. That means he now is going to be part of the girl's family. And thereafter he will be entering this courtyard for the marriage ceremony. So these signify the marriages taking place from here. The two recent ones you see on the gate here are two of my daughters, the elder and the younger one, which got married from here. And there was a gap of 66 years between the last marriage from the fort and then the one which I had here of my elder daughter. And thereafter, of course, the second one, and I hope that the family will continue to have marriages from this fort. We'll go in now to the Ravna. Now in the courtyard of the ladies section of the fort, and as you will see, there's a gallery here also for people to stand on top and watch the ceremonies of religious ceremonies which take place from the fort. This is known as the Ravla. Ravla means the courtyard. Now if you notice, we have this stone and a ring here, and this is for all fire ceremonies which take place. All our Indian marriages are around the fire. The couple has to take 7 rounds of the religious fire. And that religious fire is done here. The whole place is well decorated, and then the marriage ceremonies take place from this courtyard. The 2 statues you saw in the Diwan Khana of Gangor and Isha are brought out here during that festival and placed here for all the villagers to come in. On that particular day, even today, we go back to the old tradition. The 2 entrances which we have here are only for ladies. The ladies would come in from this entrance, do their prayers, and go out from an exit door on this side. No men would be allowed to come into this area on that particular day. The men stay outside, do their singing, dancing, whatever, outside in the courtyard, in the main courtyard, and then the procession starts. Ladies usually, even today, just go and stand on the terraces to watch the procession and do not become part of the procession. The men go with the procession. The statues are taken out in a procession. We have started, Francesca and me, with my father's permission, had started the tradition of going and riding out on our horses with our escort, with the goddess and god, throughout the procession, right up to the end of the village and then back again. That is to protect the statues from any mishappenings which used to happen in wartime. So that's the importance of the statues, the courtyard, and the ceremonies of the village which start from the fort. I will now like to take you to 1 or 2 very important monuments in this area. Shekhawati is well known for its business families, for the rich culture it has on wall frescoes and paintings. And the Havelis which we have here are also very, very differently designed. Very differently designed from the fort, because the forts were meant for safety of war, looking after the villages in case of war. But those houses were houses of the business families, and as they earned money, they kept making it looking more beautiful and beautiful. So we shall go there and have a look at that. We are now at the Royal Equestrian and Polo Center, which runs the horse safaris. As I had said earlier, it's a venture of mine which I started in India many years back. This is our 36th year of doing rides, and the whole idea was to preserve and look after the breed, the Indian Marwadi horse, and therefore we got these horses from various places, trained them for horse safaris, and we are now conducting for 36 years doing horse safaris, taking people from all over the world out on riding holidays on these beautiful Marwadi mares. This part of the stable is for the safari horses, and as I had said, the breeding line of these horses, the stallions, the mares, and the whole idea to uplift the breeding of the Marwadi horses is that of Francesca. All the breeding line is owned by her, kept at Dundlod, which we will go and see all the stallions now. But these are the safari horses of the famous Marwadi breed, which is with these curled ears. When I get close to the stallions, I shall explain more to you at that side of it. Taking you to the line of our stallions and the very young colts, all bred in the stables here. As you can see, these ears are very unique. This is the only breed in the world which have these kind of ears, unique to themselves, very famously known for their curly ears. Very fast horses, very good for endurance, very tough, and they look after themselves very much in this hot weather. They look a bit roughed out in the summer heat. They like to roll in the cool sand. That's what he's been doing. Hello. So these are all the breeding stallions. Here is Chandravansh, one of our very good, one of Francesca's favorites. He is very nice to breed with, and he has been also bred in the stables here. These are some young ones and mares which are kept in the paddocks here for exercises. I'm sure you will be noticing their ears, which look so different to any breed in this world. And the unique thing is that they can turn it nearly 180 degrees and even one by one. There you are, you can see that. To America, look at him, he's all roughed up with the sand. He's been rolling in the sand. Yeah. And now she has a breeding program which she runs from Martha's Vineyard in the States. I would let Francesca, of course, talk to you more about this breed and explain to you all what the IHSI, the Indigenous Horse Society of India, has done. We have been fortunate with her help, with Francesca's help, to be at the World Equestrian Games 2010. We were at the Queen's Diamond Jubilee due to her choreographing the show of India in 2012, when we have attended many shows abroad. to showcase the Marwadi horses. Here is one of the best stallions in the stables here. His name is Samrat, means king, and he is one of the favorites of Francesca. Very well bred. His breeding line is excellent, and this is the kind of confirmation that she is looking for when we are breeding Marwadi horses. They look pretty full of sweat at the moment, because you can quite imagine the temperature now in India is 43, 45 degrees. Hello.